This is episode 2 of the Jetstream podcast. We're a podcast talking about the Jets, and we're actually up and rolling. You finally got you didn't get your full connection set up yet, but at least you're working off of a laptop this time instead of
my phone,
your phone with your thumb in the corner. We're getting there.
I'm moving up. I'm moving on up.
Moving on up. Yeah, and us as a whole are moving on up. We're, believe it or not, just 13 days away from the start of the regular season. Lot to be excited about. Dominator days away. Monday Night Football against the 49ers. A lot to get to before we really get touch into too much about that. Today was cut down day officially. Jets trimmed their roster from 90 to 53. We'll touch on that a little bit. And we'll obviously touch on Hassan Reddick updates. I don't know if you saw that he posted a couple workout videos out there. He's, wearing all red.
Already.
A little ironic considering the first team we play against is wearing red. But all in all, I guess we'll start off with touching base a little bit here on the weekend, and that, I guess you call it a football game. Jets beat the Giants 10-6, undefeated preseason. What are your thoughts on what we saw over the weekend?
I mean, we've seen a whole bunch of third and fourth stringers play. It was a snooze fest of a game, but hey, listen, they won. 3-0. The team's feeling good heading into the regular season. A lot of people say it's preseason. It doesn't mean a lot, but it means a lot to these players. Just to ride that momentum going into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously preseason's, it is what it is. But the one thing I'll say about preseason is, and I think this kind of gets overlooked. When you're looking at a coaching staff, you can tell that like the message has kind of worked its way from the top to bottom when the third stringers and the fourth stringers are actually kind of putting what's on the field, what you expect the starters to look like. Obviously not to the level that you would see the starters, but I thought it was, and we'll obviously touch on the 53-man roster obviously too, but I think it says a lot that undrafted free agents, bottom tier players that weren't really expected to make the team are kind of exemplifying like what you want a Robert Saleh defense to look like. The offense was putrid. I mean, the quarterbacks weren't great. I mean, Adrian Martinez was okay, whatever. I mean, he's not gonna move the needle on anything. He'll, as we know, he didn't make the roster, but he'll be back on the practice squad as a third string option type of thing until Travis is ready. But I think that's what you can take out of the preseason is if the coaching staff is able to deliver their message to the bottom tier players and they're putting on the field what you're expecting, I think that does say a lot about the coaching staff, whether it means wins or anything in September, October, November, and beyond, remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, it was what it was. Jets kind of dominated that game from a defensive standpoint, and it was just, glad it's over with.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure.
I guess we'll touch a little bit on this Hassan Reddick, if you want to call it an update or whatever it was, but there were videos put out there, him working out. He's looking quick, looking fast, but he's still not at camp. And camp's over with now. He's still not reported. He's still not signed. As we talked about already, 13 days away, and it's now it's actually exceeded the length of Darrelle Revis' holdout, and he's got fines out the wazoo. I know we talked about it last week, and you felt pretty confident it would get done before the season starts. Again, we're still 13 days away. Plenty of time to still get something done, but you still have the same confidence, or are you starting to teeter?
Yeah, I kind of agree with the fact that I don't see it going into the season. I do see him signing by Labor Day. I see him being at camp. You can't go full throttle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come week 1, week 2, first sign him, get him in camp, and listen. He's a specialty for one thing, and that's running after the quarterback. You bring him on third downs only in the beginning. Get him slowly into the game. Hopefully by week 3, 4, he'll be full blown ready to roll. Because we need Hassan Reddick. I mean, our defense is good, but with Hassan Reddick, it will be great. So a lot of people, we don't need him. We got all these guys on our team, blah, blah, blah. We need him. That'll make our
Yeah.
defense, like I said, super caliber.
Mhm. Well, the thing that, I think what kind of worked against his favor a little bit is, and I think the Jets kind of mishandled this situation a little bit with the trade of JFM. I think that was probably what changed a lot. I think from that moment on is when you started to like realize the story wasn't the same. His introductory press conference, he made it pretty clear he was going to be there. He made it pretty clear he couldn't wait to be here. And the only thing that changed from the point of the trade till today was the fact that his agency probably believed they gained some leverage because of the fact that the Jets, traded away JFM because they couldn't afford him. So it kind of opened the door there. It It's got to get resolved, man. I'm with you on this. It's just kind of stupid. His agent, I don't know what they're thinking. I think what could have, where this could have potentially worked out for him a little bit more was if it weren't for these like defensive rookies kind of coming in and just being purely dominant. Again, it was against third and fourth stringers. Take that for what it's worth. But I think if it was the other way around and they were just putrid, and it wasn't like that, I think you could kind of have a little bit of a concern inside the building and almost like kind of put him in a situation where they have to pay him. Not that I think Watts, McGregor, or anybody is going to withhold against signing Reddick, but I think whatever leverage he was looking for, it's not coming, and his agent just has to get this thing done, or else he's going to just lose more and more money. I think his like fines already to this point is like $4 million.
$4 million.
Yeah, between
What
he
is
was
he on a
required to be
$14 million contract, isn't he?
yeah, 14, $15 million, whatever it is. But
Jeez.
he's already losing all this money, and we haven't even gotten to game checks. If he misses next week, like when they report, that's when you start actually losing game checks, and that's when
When
the
you're talking about it based on a 17-game season, you're talking about $750,000 a game,
hmm
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
think about that. He'll that's why he's going to be there next week. He'd be stupid not to be there. I mean, think
yeah,
about he'll lose everything. I mean, dude, if he doesn't play this year, the Jets own his rights next year. He's never
hmm
going to get paid. You got what I'm saying? He has to come in, even if it's on his $14.5 million deal. He needs to play, and that's just
hmm
it. The Jets
yeah,
do basically hold everything in their favor. He's
yeah,
got to be there. He's got to come in and show us that he can play. Regardless of the fact, I mean, if they extend to a 2-year contract, whatever he wants, but even just to come in for 1 year with a little bit more bonus incentives on, if we make the playoffs, you get an extra amount. He makes 10 sacks, you get some more here. But, I mean, it just needs to get done ASAP because we need him.
yeah. But I don't think he like. I know we were just going to touch on this, but I don't even think it makes sense for him to want a 2-year contract. If you're in his shoes, you want 3-4 years like on a contract. And granted, NFL contracts, if you get a 3-year contract, it's probably 2 years guaranteed, is usually the way it works out. But there's no it makes no sense for a 30-year-old to want a band-aid 2-year contract because guess what? When you're 32, nobody's going to pay you.
No one's going to pay
Um,
him. I mean, he's
Unless
still in
you're
his
Khalil Mack,
prime.
it seems like that guy's around forever. Like it's
Yeah. I mean,
but
what is he, 29? Going into 30?
Reddick,
Yeah, he's going to
yeah,
be
I think it's
turning
going
30, I think,
thirty.
next month. So, I mean, he's still, I mean, these defensive ends, I mean, they could go, 33, 34, pretty solid, too. I mean, so he could get his big paycheck next year. I mean,
I
but
think
he
when
needs
you're
to show
primarily a
up.
speed guy, off the edge, so that's a little different. Not that he doesn't have a power move, but his primary like
He's coming
claim to
off that
fame is
edge.
getting just speeding around the offensive tackle. When you're that
You
kind
know,
of player, like it makes things a little more difficult. Khalil Mack was just a beast, and he can pass rush, through offensive tackles. Um, so I think that's what makes things a little bit easier for a player like him to stick around. But Hassan Reddick, I mean, this is really his last chance to get a pay increase, and honestly, like the Jets shouldn't be the team to give him that. They have plenty of other players to have to pay in a couple of years between Sauce, Garrett, Brees,
the whole freaking team, man.
Jermaine
That
Johnson.
whole
I
draft
mean,
class has got to
yeah, the
get
whole
paid.
core. The whole
Yeah,
core has got to get paid in a couple of years. This was a perfect situation. If you played the 1 year and then that was it, move on, get your contract somewhere else. Hopefully win a Super Bowl with you and move along.
exactly.
But yeah, I don't know where the miscommunication began. But anyway, let's- we'll move along here. And get into the reason for today's podcast, and that's going to be the 53-man roster officially being ironed out. So I guess we'll start off with the quarterbacks and the offensive linemen. And obviously, Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor. We debated about whether or not to keep a third quarterback. Neither of us really felt like that was the smart move with how much talent they have on this roster. That kind of went chalk the way we expected. Offensive line, similar situation. Um, I kind of had him picking 10 offensive linemen, I believe it was, or 9, I think.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was between 9 and 10. I think 10 we decided it was going to be because we
yeah,
had a couple
I think
floaters
10
out
made the
there.
most sense because all the names here kind of match what we were expecting.
Yep.
No surprises there. Um,
None.
I guess here's where we start with some of
It
the
got a little
surprises.
funky here, right?
Yeah, the skill players is kind of where things got a little crazy. I know we were talking about 3 or 4 tight ends at the time between Yeboah and if they were going to keep the fullback or if they were going to keep Berkser. They ended up sticking with just 2, Conklin and Ruckert. Um, Obviously the running back, Bonaconda had a big finale to the preseason. Whether or not like one game kind of dictates how a player sticks around or not, um, I think he kind of showed what we were hoping to see in his rookie year in that last preseason game, that ability to just break away. So for anybody who was on the fence like myself, I think he definitely earned his spot in that game, as well
He
as the
did.
rest of the preseason. He was pretty solid throughout.
So one of the surprise moves here, for sure. I mean, so we were on the 3 running back course, right?
That's
When
where I
we
was
were,
at. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, Izzy making it was basically our tight end 3 not making it,
yeah.
right? But I believe you have Yaboa, um, Fatu, and our backup, a third stringer. What's his name? Jordan Travis. What is that on the PUP? Is it a PUP list or
So
they're
it's considered like for Travis at least it's not non-football injury list.
right?
That's only because it was before he was actually an NFL player, but obviously we know it happened during a football game. Honestly, I think that was more roster gymnastics. I think he probably could have snuck his way into a couple preseason games, but I think the Jets really kind of identified that this roster was going to be very difficult to keep their quarterback, and the best way to sneak him on the roster is with an injury designation.
Right.
Um, that's at
Because
least my thought there.
that was the same thing with Yaboa. And again, this is like you said, it's like a gymnastics, roster gymnastics here, and also Fatu. Both of them are going to come back, and both of them
Yeah,
are going to be on this team. So this is where the Jason Brownlees, the Irv Charles, and the UFDAs that made the team might slip down to the practice squad or something like that.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I was
but
surprised when I saw 7 receivers. I think I was at 5 when I was doing this originally
I
when
was
just
at 6, so
you were at 6.
I
Yeah,
didn't have Brownlee making the team.
yeah, and my thing on Irv Charles, I felt like Stiggers did a good job as a gunner. I felt like Eccles did a good job as a gunner, and that's really Irv Charles, like, what he's here to do is be a gunner. He's not gonna be on the field as a receiver. So, never really thought it made sense when you had players that are probably gonna make the team contribute on special teams, but I don't know. They like Irv Charles for some reason. They want to keep him around, um, and they felt like he was a player that probably would get snatched up if he didn't make the 53 for whatever reason. But yeah, I would say that's my biggest shock here. Well, I guess a couple of big shocks. One that we only kept 2 tight ends. Um, 2 that we kept Izzy, and then the fact that we kept 7 receivers was kind of
Yeah,
felt like a lot.
who's our special teams coach again? What's his name there?
Boyer.
Boyer. I think that Irvin Charles is a Boyer pick.
Yeah, I mean that would only make sense because he's definitely not going to be on offense.
No, he's just a wait. It's not a waste, but he's good. He's a great player for what they need him for. But he's just a
Mhm.
number 7 receiver that'll never see the field, like you said.
Yeah, that's where I felt like, and I guess maybe they have a little bit more of a need out of Eccles on defense potentially. Same thing with Stiggers. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't really want to put players that are your depth pieces on in harm's way. So I get that, but yeah, kind of that was my like scratch my head moment when I was going through it and setting up these slides and stuff. It was like, all right, once I got to receiver, I'm like, holy crap, they
Yeah, they
just like
kept their whole squad there, man. I was like,
did they let anybody go?
I know, right?
Uh, all right, let's move along. I think we're up to the defensive side next. The front seven. And this time I did not forget. Wait, did I? No, I did not forget Leonard Taylor. He made the list
No,
this
you
time.
didn't. You put him on there.
So yeah, I think easily the biggest shock here was the fact they were able to keep all four of Tack McKinley, Braden McGregor, Eric Watts, and Leonard Taylor III. All four of those players had flashed on Saturday night. McGregor and Leonard Taylor both went in for double-digit sacks. Same with Tack McKinley. It really. I felt again. I don't think preseason games really justify whether or not a player sticks or not. But if there was anything that this coaching staff needed to see out of these guys, is the ability to wreck a game, and that's exactly what they did on Saturday night, and rightfully so. They all deserve to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on you with this. Like, for instance, when it comes to defense, we know our coaches know what they're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing, and they actually develop all these young kids. I mean, this is what 3 years now of us developing these. Unrestricted free agents. I'm not saying we have a sluther of them, but you know what? For instance, like you're right. I mean, being able to get Tack McKinley, Braden McGregor, Watts, and Leonard Taylor III.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's just to show you that they know what they're talking. For you to make this team and this defense, they must have seen something more than just a preseason game. Some things they're not seeing behind the scenes. Maybe they just have a motor that's like unbeatable. I mean, I'm excited for this defensive unit.
Yeah, I mean,
Not to mention, where's you're missing somebody here, bro.
Mm-mm.
Where's what's his name over there?
Reddick.
Yeah.
He doesn't count yet.
Oh, it doesn't count as a part of the 53?
Not yet. That was actually my next question. So when he signs, who gets the axe, you think?
If I had to guess, I would probably say it's either going to be McKinley or McGregor. Probably, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Even Watts, it's going to be a tough choice. It's going to be one of them, sure.
Especially if he doesn't sign before the season starts. I mean, obviously, we'll get to see these guys in some capacity of game rep potentially. I think that first game could be like a semi audition for who will get the axe. Personally, I like McGregor. Like, out of the three edge rusher players, I think McGregor is the one I would probably prioritize. A young guy that just comes off the edge the way he does, and kind of has that frame, like I was mentioning last week. I think,
yeah, man, he's like that guy. What's his name over there again?
Max Crosby's cousin.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, we need somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think if it comes down to it, and Hassan Reddick's here, it'll probably be Watts, and plus I think it makes it a little bit easier to squeak someone on the practice squad, especially after this whole cutdown situation. So that might work out for them a little bit better because all these teams have their 53 now. They're making trades, they're making claims, they're getting the best. Unless Watts ends up in a situation where somebody still needs an edge rusher. I mean, he plays a premium position, so whether or not someone's willing to take a flyer and put him on the 53, up to them. But yeah, I think McGregor is probably the last person I'd like to see go. I think. I mean, I want to see what he does against starters for sure, but I think I really like what I see out of him throughout the first
unless you get like Braden McGregor versus Michael Clemens 1-on-1 in the arena, the winner stays, the winner goes home.
Yeah,
who'd win that fight?
I mean, Clemens is a friggin' monster.
They both are, man. These guys are like, whoo.
And I know, like personally, like, I mean, obviously this is Clemens' year. He has to show something this year. I was kind of down on him a little bit for what we've seen out of him the past year. I mean, his rookie year he showed flashes. Last year, not so much. Last year, he just showed us he has an attitude that can get us in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he did.
And now I just we need to see him. I know
Mature.
Robert Saleh said it's an issue with his weight, so on and so forth. Now his weight's under control. We need to see something out of him this year. He's got to take a
I
step front.
agree.
Something's got to happen here.
Totally. I mean, this is his shot right here. I mean,
Hmm.
he's going to be used a lot this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you'll see like 40% of the snaps. What do you think?
uh, I mean, I think Jermaine Johnson, McKinley, and McDonald are probably going to get a fair share of it. I mean, Clemens would be the fourth guy up. I mean, he's going to get the fourth. You know,
That's
out
for
of the
sure.
edge players, he's going to be the fourth guy. He's good on run plays. I mean, that's kind of where he'll probably get his most share. Like him and Will McDonald are going to share that responsibility. Like on the early downs, be Clemens, Will McDonald will be that third guy. But the Jets have leads in games. I don't think Michael Clemens will be seeing a lot of time on the field with.
You're going to see a lot of Willie boy.
Yeah, and we'll see what that turns into. But I mean, regardless, they're going to rotate people. That's what they do.
Right.
Jermaine Johnson will definitely lead the pack in snap percentage, and then it's just going to share amongst the rest of these guys. But again, no surprise here. Are you surprised the Jets kept 5 linebackers? I think we talked about that.
Yeah, that was a little. Actually, that was another one. I was kind of a little surprised about 5. I thought it was going to be 4 for sure. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I said. I mean, out of those 5, I mean, these are guys that've been there. You got Barnes, Surratt, Sherwood, Quincy, and Mosley. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, not much to complain about there. Then we get to the secondary. Pretty much chalk here. I don't know if there's much of a surprise here. I guess the one surprise was Codrington getting traded to the Bills. I thought that was a
hey, for 2026, yeah, for 2026, I'm hearing draft swap.
Yeah, it was they sent him and a 7th round pick. I forget which year. Double check it right now. 2026. So yeah. So the Bills got him and a 7th round pick, and we got a 6th round pick. So we just moved up the chart a little bit.
That's good.
They were going to cut him.
Our move for our quarterback of the future.
What was that?
Our move for our quarterback of the future, man.
I don't know if it's 6th round pick.
But we're gonna need about 20 picks to move up, bro.
We'll have to trade 15 more times just to.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna need to.
And then the safeties, I know we're on Oliver a little bit.
This is about right, though. I mean, you got Tony Adams, Chuck Clark, Ashton Davis, Isaiah Oliver. We kind of knew that's where it was going to be.
Yeah, I would say it's mostly chalk, with the exception that I probably thought they were going to try and keep Codrington on the team. But they like Gibson, and who knows what this new kickoff rule is going to do. Nobody's showing anything. These teams are keeping whatever ideas, plans they have in their minds, in the hush-hush. But you can already tell, there's so much opportunity to make some plays with this new format. It's going to be really exciting to see what teams actually end up doing. And
who do you think ought to be our kickoff return guys?
Well, that really just kind of depends. I mean, if you saw the preseason, Jets were putting, Isaiah Davis back there.
I think that's who it's going to be. Him and Gibson, I'm thinking, right?
Obviously Gibson. But I think it just really depends, like the type of situation, because you really have like a condensed, area to operate in, and a lot of bodies. So, in some of those situations, you're going to want somebody who can, take a hit somebody, get free. But as you know, with kick returns, you want speed on the edge, be able to get around the edge. It's going to be. I mean, nobody knows anything. The only thing I know is late in games, teams are going to try and put starters out there.
They will.
With the opportunity to kind of get imagine like the Dolphins, for example, putting Tyreek Hill back there,
or even really chain somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'd be honest with you. I mean, if I were the Jets, man, every kickoff, sail it in the back of the freaking end zone. I don't even want to give them a chance to return it on us.
Yeah, I think that's what's eventually going to come to, especially if teams start making explosive plays. Because
I mean, I can see it happening.
it doesn't take much to get to the 30-yard line. Like,
No.
if they really want to, and they're not going to start teams off at the 35-yard line, but if you really want to kind of make a difference out of this thing, say if you kick out of the back of the end zone, you get a 35-yard line. Nobody's going to want to put an elite quarterback at 35-yard line in critical games. You'll want to kick it. But in the same sense, like I said, you're almost guaranteed to get to the 25-yard line. Like, it's not like that
No, it's
intricate.
not.
Like,
So hold on. So if you sail it behind the end zone, you start at the 35
at the 30,
or at the 30.
right? And
Okay.
if you kick it short, you get it at the 40. So that landing zone, that big rectangle now that they have in there, have you seen it?
Right. I think I've seen it on TV. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that landing zone, if you kick it behind the landing zone, it's a touchback and they get it at the 30-yard line.
Okay.
If you land it in the landing zone, everyone can converge, everyone can rush, whatever, and it's just a regular kick return type of thing. And if you kick it short of the landing zone, like if you try squibbing it and it doesn't reach the landing zone, they get it at the 40-yard line. It's almost like kicking it out of bounds.
So it's just like kicking out of bounds. Jeez.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
I mean, I think that's the safest way. If you have a kicker that can squib it,
That's pretty awesome.
but then you run the risk of squibbing it short. So, but yeah, that's the new kickoff rule for you. They had to throw something at us because the game was coming too standard for us, I guess.
Well, especially the kickoffs, because it was horrible. I mean, every kickoff sailing back of the end zone. There was no game no more. The onside kick became a joke. I mean, now this year you have to call it before you do it. I mean, this is like,
Yeah. And not even that, you have to be losing.
Oh, you can't. Oh, well, I mean, most likely, but there's no trickery anymore. That's what I'm saying. You're taking away the fun.
Yeah.
Neat. The whole, my God, what happened is an onside kick.
I mean, there's got to reach a time like I know that there was I know we're on the specialist. This is pretty obvious. Zerline, Morstead, and Hennessy. But we're on special teams anyway. About the kickoffs. But there was a point in time where they were talking about and these ideas get floated out every so often, whatever, but setting a team up with 4th and 10 at the 20-yard line, let's say, or 30-yard line, whatever it was, and you have to convert or the other team gets it. That would be like your onside kick. You have to convert on 4th and 10.
No matter
one
what.
shot.
Yeah, when you got quarterbacks like Mahomes and Josh Allen and so on, and maybe Aaron Rodgers could throw in that that statistic, no problem. 4th and 10 is easy. But when you had a quarterback like Zach Wilson for years,
you're never gonna. That's my issue. It's very that's a situation where it's very quarterback driven.
No, 100%.
I mean, I don't know.
Only the Jets would call a play under 10 yards on that pull. Dump off pass at 3 yards. Hey. Oh, geez.
So here's the specialist, and that's basically it for the specialist there. So again, I guess we'll touch back on game 13 days away. The next time we do this, we'll be talking about a game week.
Yeah, we'll be midweek games. The next time we do this is going to be on Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be Thursday night eve, bro. First game is Thursday.
We have a fantasy draft next Tuesday, so yeah, it's Thursday. Wednesday, I mean.
We should do this live.
Do this live?
Yeah.
We can?
Our fantasy
draft live?
Yeah. That'd be fun. We get 10 people on this old computer. We'll have Gino.
Oh boy.
You, me.
No, we'll keep we'll keep that to ourselves with how that goes. But
predictions next week.
Yeah, so I had a few ideas. I'll run it by you. We'll keep everyone in the shock light. But anything else you got? I think we're kind of hitting that point. 13 days away. Let's get this friggin' season going, and let's friggin' play some real football, not this preseason shit anymore.
No, that's for sure, bro.
Alrighty. Well, that's all we got. Let's go Jets.
Go Jets.